Have you watched any of the episodes before?
I watched the first minute of all of them.
Okay, so basically what we talk about is video games, right? That's like the main idea. And then on top of that, we add, how does it impact your health? How does it impact you and what you do? So to start, have video games ever impacted you negatively? Like, have you ever consciously thought, okay, this is starting to become a problem. I need to do something about it.
Yes.
Okay, and when was this and like what was happening? What's the context of it?
Um, it was actually like college applications.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it was around college applications, so around maybe 4 years ago. And essentially, video games were a great way for me to connect with my peers, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
With you, with all my other friends, and I'm a really big, still kind of am a big procrastinator. Um, and so the way I would procrastinate is just by playing a bunch of video games with my friends. And so this was during the time of college applications, and I never really took college applications seriously until like literally a week before, or even sometimes days before.
Oh, you mean a week before it
Yeah,
was due?
yeah.
Okay.
Um, hence the procrastination, right? And so, yeah, that's one way that video games have affected me. That's probably like the biggest way. Um,
So you would be distracted from your college apps by video games directly, right?
um, I don't know if it was video games directly. The thing is, I would never play by myself that often.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was definitely the main way that I would procrastinate because as soon as, like start of the day, I would be like playing video games with one friend that always likes to play in the morning, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that friend hops off, I would play video games with another friend that likes to play more in the afternoon, and then after that friend hops off, I would play with another friend that likes to play in the
Okay.
evening, and so I would be that friend that would be playing video games the entire day versus all the other people they only
Oh,
have
I
like
see.
a section where they play games, and the other rest of the day they would be like studying or doing homework or what have you, right? And so, was that behavior due to video games or like an addiction to video games? I don't know. Because again, I would never play by myself. If nobody was on, I would never play. I would procrastinate in some other way by like watching YouTube or TikTok or something like that. Um, did it help feed into my procrastination? Probably, most definitely, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. But yeah.
So do you think that like you're procrastinating not necessarily because of video games, but because you're bored in general? Like you have a problem focusing? Like is that sort of where it stems from?
I don't know if it's a problem focusing. I think procrastination for a lot of people, and myself included, might come from a fear of failure, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, all college applications are really stressful. Um, it's where you have to think about your future, think about what you want to do, and for a lot of people, like myself, it's really scary to think about more long term and think about what you want to devote yourself to for the next 10, 20 years of your life. So I think that fear of maybe not being successful or not being able to be where I want to be, that fear motivates a lot of people to work even harder, right? But for
Mm-hmm.
me, it just motivated me to put it off and think about it later, right?
Right.
I think
Okay.
that stress and that like anxiety was a lot for me. And so as a result, I developed this bad behavior of procrastinating with video games.
And is this still something that affects you today? Like, have you figured out a way sort of to combat it that works for you?
Um, I don't think it affects me now. I think, um,
What do you think the
I
difference
honestly
is
have no.
now?
The difference is now. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something I grew out of. Maybe the the reality of life has hit me. But that's not something that I've faced. I think freshman year of college, for context, for those who don't know, I'm a senior now. But when I was a freshman in college, um, I definitely still had a little bit of a tendency to want to play video games to procrastinate. But I think because my social circles changed,
Hmm.
and I'm like a new person in a new environment, and me wanting to explore that new environment, aka college, helped me to grow out of it, I think. And also just like a conscious decision of knowing, of making that mistake of procrastinating in college apps and not necessarily being happy with where that put me.
Hmm.
I think that really opened my eyes to fixing it, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
get
I don't
that.
really have that problem now.
Okay. And as for playing with friends, right? So why is it that you felt that you really preferred playing with friends to the point where you literally wouldn't even play on your own? What is the benefit of playing with friends?
Um, well, I think if it weren't for video games with friends, I would go out to play sports with them. I would go out to eat with them. It's just the social aspect of them really helped me to not think about the stresses of life, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Why were video games in particular our way of bonding? I couldn't tell you. I guess that was probably because of COVID, and I know that's similar to a lot of other people's experiences on here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that kind of online setting just forced us to bond over things like Discord or gaming and things like that. So that's probably the main reason. That's an example of more of a environmental externality, which kind of forced us to socially bond through
Hmm.
gaming. So yeah.
Is that where your friend, like your main friend group, I guess back home now, is that where it came from? Did it start from playing games together? Or did it start even before that?
Um, yeah, I guess you could say that. Um, I think the friend group did become more uh cohesive through gaming. It
Hmm.
was definitely a bit fragmented before. Like all of us kind of like knew of each other and maybe had talked to one another like maybe once or twice, and we were definitely more close with particular people um than others. But then as we gamed more, one friend would be like, "Oh, we need a five stack. Let me invite this one guy I know," and then we would get to really know that guy,
Hmm.
and then we would all become closer as a result. And then after COVID ended, we would, you know, go hang out IRL and things like that. So, yeah, I would probably say that um, gaming did kind of form the friend group. Yeah.
Hmm. And nowadays, do you guys still game together as your main way of bonding, or have you kind of moved on from that?
Um, I don't know. I think gaming is definitely still a really big way that we bond. For those who don't know, we play a lot of League of Legends, and they have these like tournaments every month. That how no matter how far apart me and my friends are, we always try to make time for that one or those 2 days every month to get together and just play the tournament for fun. Um, but when we're all at home for breaks, like
Hmm.
summer break, winter break, Thanksgiving, etc., we try to hang out a lot more in person. I think playing sports, particularly basketball and soccer, are definitely our main ways of bonding now, of hanging out, catching up. But gaming is, I would say, is still at least a very big part of
Hmm.
it as well.
So then, to me, it sounds like gaming was never really the issue, right? It was sort of just that originally you procrastinated, and then it didn't help that your friends, at least someone was online all the time, right? And then it gave you an opportunity to procrastinate. So I guess for other people who are, let's say they're in your similar shoes, right? Let's say someone else is applying to college right now and they struggle with procrastination. Would you tell them, oh, try not to game or go on TikTok or things like that, or what would you advise them to do?
If they're already a big procrastinator like me, I think
Oh, your mic cut out.
because I don't know if your parents and your friends and whoever else is close to you can't pull you off of procrastinating or can't pull you off of this like semi addiction to gaming, then the only way that it's, at least in my experience, going to get better is for you to grow out of it. And the only way to grow out of it is to mess up and live with the consequences of it. Um, Again, like for me, I was applying to colleges and because of the procrastination, I didn't get into a lot of places that I wanted to. And, I'm happy now with where I'm going for school. It's definitely, I've taken advantage of the opportunities. Um, but I think even if I had gotten lucky and gotten into maybe a reach school, this same habit would probably persist into college anyway. And then, if you're going to mess up, it's better early than later, right?
Hmm.
Like if I was, really lazy or procrastinating a lot with job applications or anything like that, then that's a much much bigger penalty later on in life versus applying to college, right? And so my advice to anyone is, you know what, like if you're procrastinating a lot, if you're addicted to video games, live with the consequences. That's the only way you're going to learn. So yeah.
So the main way you learned is through messing up. And do you think that a lot of people who procrastinate have a fear of messing up like you did? Do you think that's where a lot of it stems from?
I think so. Um, at least in my experience, and I can't speak for everyone, right? In my experience, a lot of people that I've seen that also like to procrastinate like me are also really scared of failing. They're scared of um, disappointing someone, for example, parents, or they're scared of not reaching expectations, right?
Hmm.
And as a result, they don't really want to think about that. It's a lot of mental stress, whether they like to talk about it or not. And as a result, they end up procrastinating. I understand for some people, they might just genuinely be lazy. They might just genuinely want to be mediocre, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but I think for a lot of people who used to be very ambitious when they were younger, um, procrastination definitely affects them for
Hmm.
sure.
And I'm guessing now you no longer have a fear of messing up, right?
Uh,
At least more so than before, right?
I think I still do have that fear of messing up. For me, um, my specific family situation puts a lot of burden on my shoulders. And if I'm not where I want to be in, 3 to 5 years, then um, I'm not going to be able to do what I want for my family, if that makes sense.
I see.
And so there is this pressure for me to do well, but instead of me procrastinating and being okay with, you know, mediocrity, I think that's
Mm, okay.
100% the motivating factor for me to not procrastinate anymore. That fear of messing up,
I
and
see.
also the drive to want to be successful. Those two things coupled hand in hand, um, push me to work hard
Oh,
for
so you
sure.
kind of reframed it for yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So do you think it's sort of a privilege for people to not have to fear of messing up?
You know, have fear of messing up.
Like, is this because the way you
Um,
put it, it sounds like, you really do need to succeed. It's not just you want to, right? And there's no fallback, right? The pressure's on you, the burden's on you. So in a way, the some people who have no fear of messing up, in a way, it's a privilege, right? And from the way it sounds, because not everyone
to
gets
not
to
have a
have
fear of
that.
messing up. I don't know. I don't know if I have ever met anyone. that doesn't have a fear of um, messing up. I think I mean, the term privilege is really thrown around a lot, right? It can mean a lot of
Hmm.
different things. Um, but, you know, I think it's more so a privilege to have that fear of messing up, if that makes sense. Because you were
Okay.
mentioning, oh, is it a privilege to not have that fear of messing up? But honestly, I would honestly put it the other way. I think that it is a great privilege to have something in your environment which pushes you,
Hmm.
right? If you're mature enough to let it push you and not procrastinate, right? Um, Again, it's everything in moderation. Too much fear is going to mess you up mentally.
Right. Yeah.
Not enough is gonna let you, for those that don't want to be just mediocre, it's not enough fear isn't gonna get you anywhere. So, you know, um, I think it is somewhat of a privilege to have a fear of messing up. And if it were me, I am very appreciative of the experiences I've had. And, I am thankful that I have this anxiety, or fear, of messing up. And I think it is a privilege to be able to regulate it,
Okay.
if that makes sense,
That does make
versus
sense. Yeah.
not having that fear at all. It is more of a privilege to have it and be able to regulate it. For some other people, like a lot of other people close to me, the fear of messing up, they're not able to regulate it as well, and so as a result, they have to be on like anxiety meds and things like that. And that is it's really rough to see and to go through. And I could
Hmm.
only imagine, right? Yeah.
So your fear of messing up also, that is distinct from a fear of, let's say, rejection or, little fears of failure, right? Like this is a fear of not achieving your long-term goals, right? That's different from like a fear of rejection or like a fear of someone saying no or something small and bad happening, right? Like this is distinct from that.
Well, now that you ask it, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you. I think, when you say rejection, do you mean like, going up to somebody and like confessing to them, or you mean there's like college rejection? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, anything like that. Anything where you, let's say, I guess it's a little different for if you're asking a girl out or something, but let's say you apply for a job, right? Do you fear rejection, right? Like, is this something that also motivates you, right? The fear of getting rejected from a job, let's say, is that similar to how you feel with the fear of messing up?
Um, Maybe. Uh, Maybe. The thing is, I don't think a lot of people really look inward and analyze how they're truly feeling, and myself included.
Hmm.
And as a result, they can't really tell these differences. For me, I don't know if there is a difference. Maybe there is. Um, um, but I think these smaller, sort of less consequential things are probably bigger motivators for procrastination than these larger, more consequential, mess ups, if that makes sense. So like, for
Hmm.
example, a fear of getting rejected from college, that is a relatively big consequence, but in the grand scheme of your life, doesn't really matter, right? Um, versus the consequence of not applying to jobs, not being able to pay your own rent or provide for yourself, much less
Hmm.
anybody else. Having to stare at eviction notices in the mail, or past due bills, or thousands of dollars in credit card debt. That's a lot bigger, right? And so that fear is going to be a lot different from these smaller fears of messing up, like not getting into college. And maybe that's a reason why I've turned my mindset around as well, because I'm facing the real world now. Like I'm about to go into my last semester. I'm about to graduate, and then I'll be starting my real job, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, maybe there is a difference. I think there probably is, but who can say for sure, right?
Hmm. And so for those, I mean, do you fear things like that, things that are out of your control? Do you tend to do you have a tendency to fear those things or to worry about them, or do you say if it's not in my control, I don't really worry about it?
Um, like, what do you mean? Like, could you give me an example?
Yeah, like, I mean, look, not saying that, bad things happening to you are completely out of your control, but let's say like random, bad events happening to you, right? Like everyone has issues that they wish they could change or control, but they have no control over, right? I'm just wondering if if part of your worry of messing up is, worrying that maybe these bad things that you can't predict will happen to you, or it's more so you're worried that you yourself will not lead or I guess meet your expectations.
So you're asking like if I worry about things that I can't control,
Yeah, basically.
essentially.
Is that
Okay.
part of that fear?
I think early on when I was in high school, I used to worry a lot about things I couldn't control. But I think inherently there are a lot of things that you can control, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can always control the environment you're in. You can always control the preparation that you put in, right? For example, take the MCAT, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can't control if there's going to be some really loud guy that likes to snort and cough right next to you while you're taking a several hour long exam, right? You can't
Right.
control that. But to some degree, you can prepare yourself. You can take these exams in a coffee shop. You can take these exams in louder environments or, things like that to better focus your mind on working with just like a bajillion things going around you. And, if we're talking about those kinds of environments, like there are interviews, which I've had, particularly for trading firms, where the interviewer will ask me um, a question, right? There'll be like 8 people in a room, right? Eight
Mm-hmm.
people, 8 interviewers, but only one of them is asking me a question. As soon as I start answering that question, all of them immediately begin talking at the same time, just about random stuff.
Yeah.
And they want to see how you react and if you're able to finish your thought while facing
Interesting.
one, unexpectedness, and two, the noisiness of a simulated trading floor,
Yeah.
right? And so to some degree, that's really unexpected, but you can always control your reaction to unexpected situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are a lot of things that you can worry about that are out of your control. Sometimes you just got to say it is what it is. But in order to say, it is what it is, you have to feel fully confident in yourself that you prepped for whatever situation or, whatever it is you just went through to the best
Mm-hmm.
of your ability, right? And I think really, really having that fear of messing up helps you to prepare more so that you don't fear things that are out of your control.
Yeah, I get
Does that
that.
make sense? So yeah.
I think I do the same too, but yeah, I was just wondering what you do. If you have time, I just have one last question. Nowadays, I guess to return back to gaming, what do you use gaming for nowadays? Is it just for fun? Is it to de-stress? Or I mean, aside from bonding with your friends, like personally, what service does gaming benefit you?
Um, I think yeah, just like a lot of other people, I think it's a great way to bond with your friends. I think it's a great way to de-stress. Especially if you're playing more chill games. But for me, I think it's a really good way for me to keep my mind sharp for sure. I'll play a lot of these more strategic games like team fight tactics, or like poker or things like that.
Yeah.
That really help to keep your, for lack of a better word, just like keep you on edge, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The stress of the game and the probabilistic thinking that you have to approach with these two games really help to keep your mind sharp. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really important for, industries that I want to go to. So that might only be specific to me, but I think gaming is a really great way to manage how you react to really stressful situations, especially if you're playing like an FPS, like, CS:GO, where there's like a bajillion things are going on. Or a better example would be Valorant. You're getting flashed from like five different angles, and then there's a smoke on top of you, and then bam, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, all of that can happen in literally less than a second, and you be putting yourself in stressful situations like that will help you get better at not only receiving information, but also reacting based on the information you have, especially if there's unknown information, right? And that's a really, really useful skill in a lot of different, um, not only professional aspects of your life, but also social aspects of your life as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a more little unconventional answer, but I think gaming is a great way to keep your mind sharp. So yeah,
No, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that. Okay, well, I think I've taken all of the time plus 5 minutes to what I asked you for. But thank you for coming. Thank you for talking and sharing your insight as an older person who is more wise than I am. So I
by
appreciate any
three
last
years to
remarks?
1 year. Um, yeah, just to your viewers and listeners, I think um don't be afraid to um am I allowed to cuss on this channel
Yeah,
or no?
I may or may not bleep it out. I don't know.
Oh, don't be afraid to fuck it up. Like, don't be afraid to fuck up. I think a lot of your viewer base is probably pretty young. But even if you're not, like, it's never too late to start over. And sometimes you have to fuck up in order to realize what the right way is, right? So yeah, that's all I got.
All right, well, thank you for chatting with me today. Take care.